And from there, we can build on what we want to enhance with our standards. And based on that, ATO are happy, AMO are happy, and everybody is happy. Thank you.
Thank you for all your submissions. I think I'll take 2 more, and then we can move to AOC, of course, with a resolution. Yes.
Okay. I just want to give a brief comment on what my good learned friend, Mr. Nyanjui, has said. It's quite unfortunate that you have somebody who cannot write, or they read newspapers or Facebook and they go home. Because as far as I'm concerned, any licensed engineer has gone through some form of schooling. He has sat examinations at KCAA. And as far as I'm concerned, the exams are either written or computer-based. And if there's someone who's able to work on a computer, for sure, even if it means reading newspapers, they should be able to write something on a tech log. I don't think that will be too much for someone to do on a tech log. I think let's also not get to a point whereby we are demeaning some professionals. It's not the first time in a forum like this. I think this is the second time whereby we are hearing that we have some engineers, their work is to top up oil and read Facebook and go home. From an engineering perspective, that oil can be part of trend monitoring. It can be part of reliability, which probably most pilots have no idea about, apart from putting oil and looking at the oil pressure gauge and pressure, everything is okay. But they don't know there's someone who's following the consumption of that engine, which can translate to a cost reduction and can actually even forestall a hazard that can be coming. So don't really look at an engineer from the perspective of oil. I've also heard in this forum, it looks like there's a problem with the word licensed. I don't know why when we talk about the word licensed, it becomes an issue. Why do we want to move the word licensed to a liaison? When I'm looking at this, I am looking at 3 things. Either it's a burden, and when you're looking at the burden, either we are looking at the cost, or the qualification, or the title. And I'm sure from the AOC point of view, or from the ATO, or we are looking at cost. As an operator or as an ATO, I'm sure you're looking at cost. But we are not here for cost. We are here for qualifications because we are enacting laws. There is also this perspective of, also I heard in the morning someone saying that you can also move the maintenance requirements to an AMO, and you are an AOC. It is important to know that it's the responsibility of the operator to maintain his aircraft. As maintenance, you are only in charge of what you do or what you maintain. And that responsibility is not transferable. Actually, these 2 entities, they have separate certification processes. As an AOC, you have a separate certification process. As an AMO, you have a separate certification process. So I don't know, and I'm actually seeing this coming especially from helicopter operations. And probably we need to relook at the helicopter issue much more keenly. This helicopter issue, in the morning we were told that we have 1,700 engineers in this country. And in this morning's session, I was made to understand that we only have 9 licensed in helicopter or qualified on helicopters. And in this country, we have about 80 registered flying helicopters. I don't know whether they are flying commercial or private. We all understand that helicopters are fragile, complex machines, but they're quite simple. That's why KCAA issues A category, A/C. So we need to go back to the drawing board. Why is it that we are having so many fixed-wing engineers progressing, but when you look at the helicopter, there's a lot of, there's no improvement. There is no career development in the helicopter division. KCAA doesn't produce helicopter engineers. It is us, the industry, who give KCAA, we approve them for them to undergo a particular certification process. So if we are not producing enough people to KCAA, then we will be having this problem of not having enough. But if also we are not having enough, and yet in the same hand, We are saying we don't need them. Their work is to only put oil and they call it a day. So probably at some point we need to ask ourselves, this helicopter, the way it's not progressing, probably DG needs to form a task force later on to find out why is the helicopter engineering not progressing as fast as the fixed wing. You cannot have 1,700 engineers and you only have 9 handling 80 aircraft. So there's something there which is lacking, and the solution should come from the industry, not from KCAA. And then also, it is important to understand the responsibilities of this maintenance manager or this liaison person, whoever we are trying to call him. It's important to understand these people and what they do. These people are in charge of the maintenance control manuals. They develop maintenance programs. They're the people who develop the MELs. So they also run the liaison. They do reliability. They do planning. They do tech records. So there is really a lot of work that these people do. Now, the issue of qualifications, that's where I think where the main contentious issue is. I don't think alliances is too much. As much as people are trying to say that we bring in diploma, if you look at the responsibilities of this maintenance manager, someone with a diploma with no experience, has never been in the maintenance industry, has no idea how maintenance is being done. For sure, this will be a bit too much for them. It is important that these people, even if you look at the syllabus, for both licensed and the diploma, they are not the same, they are totally different. For the licensed, of course, they're tailor-made, and actually that's where people get experience and they do the type course. But when you look at the diplomas, they are all NEC-based, and it's a standard worldwide. So personally, I don't think it's a good idea to be discussing this issue of, I remember we were in the same problem a while ago, I think in 2018, when we were trying to come up with the quality, qualifications for the head of qualities for the AMOS, where it was being said that, oh, these people, they can be anybody because the head of quality AOC doesn't require this. But we came to realize that these people are two different people. So with my humble submission is we need to move forward as a country and we need to respect other people's professionals. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ratemo. I think I had 2 hands, eh?
Yes, please.
And then Professor.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Professor Engineer Hamir, and I want to touch base on what my colleague earlier said. One is on helicopter knowledge and basics, or what we call rotary wing aircrafts. You see, it's not industry that creates these linkages or they certify. There is a hub which is called the what is lacking, and many a times is that whenever you say a professor is coming today, oh, a professor only knows how to teach. There's no research he can do because he can only come here, go to KU, after 2 hours he'll go to Didan Kimathi, come back, go back to his classroom. But you want industry people, somebody who has practical hands-on experience. So that's where we need a merger. My Vice Chancellor, Professor Adwal, is a very smart man, and he always says academics and industry have to be tied. Because at the end of the day, the industry is the employer. So we need to look at joint curricula. For instance, these 3 years that KCAA licensing process and all that, it could be simplified by collaborating with an academic institution. We have the School of Aerospace and Vehicle Engineering. We have Kenyatta School of Aerospace Engineering. What are they doing? They're only teaching. That is the consensus. Then comes the point of curriculum development, joint curriculum development. It should not be half-baked, only one cycle. The industry tells you what to do. We need also the design component. We want KCAA to have an engineering division in the system, so that not only to approve or inspect and all that. Airworthiness regulations are very well known in physics. And that's why we do safety systems and all those things. But the design component has to be reflected. We are talking about engineering. Do we know what engineering really is? Because if I take out my cell phone, it's a pretty shoddy looking cell phone, but nevertheless, I can't call this applied physics. Engineering is not applied physics. It's the usage of physics and mathematics to design systems based on user requirement, cost efficiency, local materials, which we call appropriate technology. So that is one. Then comes this issue of licensing, which my colleague mentioned was very true. Why are we afraid of it? You know, Mwalimu Nyerere in Tanzania used to say at University of Dar es Salaam, you can't teach engineering if you are not licensed by ERB. Don't enter the classroom. Don't go and teach professional engineering ethics when you're not licensed. I'm licensed by EBK A3799 in aerospace. We have to be licensed. We have to be accredited in order to ensure competence. Let cost not be the worry. Mars Polar Lander crash landed because it overheated into the atmosphere because NASA went for an easy route. And because they did an easy route, they didn't know an orbital band. You are using either metric units or you are using engineering units. Now what you are calling pound force, which is 1 slug feet per second squared, versus what you are using in SI